Welcome to Front Row with Michael J. Curtis.
Boss of all boss.
A podcast where we dive into the world of pop culture, politics, entertainment, and more.
Okay, what's going on, everybody? This is pretty dope. So welcome. I'm your host, Michael J. Curtis, host extraordinaire, comedian, actor. What else? I had a resume before, but I ain't did this in a while. So anyway, what's up, y'all? I'm looking in the wrong place. What's happening? We're trying out something new today, so we're gonna see how it works out. Front row, Michael J. Curtis. Let's just go over what we're going to talk about today. So we have politics, we have pop culture, we got entertainment, we have everything that we're going to discuss here today about the Democratic National Convention. We'll talk about the Republican National Convention. We'll talk about Kyle Rittenhouse. We'll talk about Jacob Blake Jr. A lot of people kind of forget to say Jr. Just that I'm a junior is the reason why it sticks out to me. That's not important. Anyway, so we'll talk about that. I have a few friends here with me today. Amber Smith. They're going to be commentating. We have Sarita Valmond, and she has her whole name in here. She know I can't say the last one. Anyway, so we have her as well. And we have Ali. She just gave me our new nickname today, and I almost called her something else. It's funny because every person I have here with me today, I call something other than their actual. No, I do call you your name, Ali. I call you your name. And now you're asking me not to call you your name, which is weird. But anyway, so we're here today. Let's bring one of my first commentators on. See, we have a couple of things to talk about when it comes to the world of pop culture and entertainment. And she's here to talk with us about that. That's going to be Ali. Everybody make some noise for Ali one time. Hello. Hold on, because I'm having a problem where I can't kind of hear you. That's the issue I'm having. Hold on one second. Okay. You go ahead. No. And I don't know if I'm the only one who can't. So I'm going to see if it's just me or if it's everybody. It's crazy because we're literally live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, in the question that I sent out literally loaded to all of them. So that's always beautiful, I think. Go ahead with your spiel. I'll get it together eventually.
Her. I love Kiki. She's doing awesome for the women and representing us the best way that she can. And she's been great at doing that. She's also funny. So I think that I'm going to actually tune in because it's been a while since I have. Moving on, we have Brandy versus.
Well, wait, let's
Monica
stop at Kiki really quick.
Okay.
So here's my question. Okay, with Kiki hosting the VMAs, is Kiki like the real? Kiki had her own talk show, right? At one point, she even she hosts with GMA each week with what is his name, Michael Strahan and Sarah Haynes.
Right.
Didn't they can't
her to be a host.
Say it again for me.
I don't think it's still on anymore.
No, it's not. It was canceled. So here's the thing. Kiki Palmer has had a very good social media following, a good social media presence for some time now. And now that she's had the social media following, she's now been looked at. And really a lot of when she's been at home and she does these characters as far as kind of the different things and different skits that she has. So now that she has these characters, that's really cool and good. But I think that's what makes the VMAs look at her and go, you know what, this may be a good person to have on our award show, and I think it'll be good
Right.
too.
I do too. She's extremely entertaining, and I just want her to win. I love Kiki. I always wanted her to win. So I'm very just proud of her, and I'm just happy for her because I know this is going to be big for her.
I
So
think
I'm
it's going to be a
extremely
very big
excited
deal.
about that. It is. It is.
Yeah.
Especially, we need this right now. We need this, for the culture because, I mean, right now is the best time, better than any time probably, to really use these platforms that we are given, and that's people of color, to really speak out. So I hope that she does take this opportunity to voice her opinion on all of the racial tension that's been happening lately. So I'm excited.
Racial
She's a
tension that's
very
been
smart
happening.
woman, and
But I
I
think
mean, of
we're
course, racial tension has been going on, but the recent events and just 2020 alone, um,
I, th- I think
I
the
think that
recent
this would be a great opportunity for her to speak on that.
yeah, but here's the
Go
concern.
ahead.
I think where Kiki has brought up more so than about uh, racial tensions between black women and excuse me, racial tensions between black people and white people. I think Kiki has also pointed out something very important about the relations between men and women. I remember her bringing up Trey Songz before an incident that she had when she was hiding in the closet.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
He's been brought under fire recently too for supposedly kidnapping two women, taking their phones, throwing them over the balcony, and then harassing them. I did not read much on it just because I'm not a Trey Songz like fan in any type of way. I'm not into his music. He sounds like a goat to me personally, but that's just my thought. So I didn't
He
really
sounds
look
like
too much into that, but yes, I do. I mean, you got to keep it real. He does sound like a goat, right? Am I right?
I
Am I
mean,
lying?
he seems like a Billy Goat, but there are a lot of women that enjoy that.
I was gonna say, and there's nothing wrong with that because that goat has come a long way, made a lot of money and fans along the way.
Yeah,
So it just didn't work for me.
I'm just,
But
I'm
yeah, he's been under fire again recently too
I'm just trying to come to the
for those
understanding
two.
of, is this a real thing? Is this a real allegation?
So they brought it up on Twitter, and Twitter is just the best place
Oh,
on earth.
Twitter is
But
notorious for bringing up all type of stuff. That's just Twitter.
shout out to Twitter. I'm not gonna lie. I need to get back on Twitter because circa 2016 to probably like 18, Twitter was the place to be for me. And I've kind of dropped off since then. But yeah, I think I'm gonna need to get back on there, especially if I'm gonna be doing the celebrity corner. I need to get in their business, and Twitter is the best place to do that. And
Yeah,
that's
if
where
you're gonna be
those
doing a
young
celebrity
ladies
corner, you
brought
gotta
that.
be on Twitter.
I know. Now, don't get me wrong, because there
Uh
are
huh.
other sources, and I'm not talking about the shade room. I don't know if anybody is familiar with LSA. Well, LSA, that's probably like an OG reference, but Lipstick Alley,
Oh
that's
yeah, Lipstick Alley.
another. Yeah, so I can go there
Okay.
too, but Twitter is more real time. So I'm gonna be creating another Twitter. So you guys stay tuned for my um in the upcoming
On on the
podcast. Well, not
Twitter.
podcast, but streams. Yeah.
On the Twitter.
Yeah,
So here's
on the
another
Twitter.
question. Here's another question. We were talking about Kiki Palmer. We talked about Trey Songz. Trey
Mhm.
Songz. Kiki Palmer accused him, and then we have other accusers that they have accused him as well. But somebody else who was
Yes.
accused of something not too long ago was Tory Lanez. Megan Thee Stallion took to social media to make it very clear that she was
Mhm.
shot in the foot by Tory Lanez. This happened some time ago. It took over the internet. But see, here's my question: is Tory Lane going to be brought up on charges or no? What is happening with that?
Um, so they're pretty still much under wraps about everything. She did recently take to live and admit that he was the person that shot her in her foot. She did state something that kind of stuck out to me that was kind of
Mm.
weird, where she admitted that she was not telling people it was him for his own sake, for basically to protect him, which I
Well,
didn't
you do
get.
know that Tory Lanez is a Canadian citizen. He's not a U.S. citizen. Tory Lanez is here from Canada, along with Drake and a number of other individuals. Uh, and so we have to be very clear.
Now we're trying to get over to their land.
Now
So
we're trying to get over to Canada because this, woo. listen. So COVID is running rampant
I
here.
mean,
So we try to. Canada is not interested in us visiting them or being a part of their country.
they're not.
Uh,
They
Seeing
said
as how
the
we've
borders
handled.
are closed. Sorry, y'all. America is ghetto, and we don't want that on this side. So
America is ghetto, and we don't want that on the side.
I get it.
Uh, speaking of ghetto, being off Burleigh, I can appreciate the fact that one of my all-time favorite artists is actually entering into a versus with another one of my all-time favorite artists. I'm not saying my artist's favorite is ghetto. I'm just saying being from the ghetto, I'm able to appreciate her a little bit more. Does
Then
that
I
make
think I
sense?
know who you are rooting for
You
in
know
the
I'm rooting
upcoming
for.
verses.
Shout out to Monica and Brandy.
Shout
I'm
out to
Team
Monica
Monica.
and Brandy.
I'm Team Monica. It's
I'm
been
Team
clear.
Brandy.
I am
I
Team
am Team
Monica.
Brandy.
I'm Team Monica, and the reason I am Team Monica is I'm off Burleigh. So all the people I knew, well, nobody bumping Brandy like that. Let's be clear. Ain't nobody on Burleigh bumping Brandy. It ain't gonna happen.
Really?
It's not.
Well, you know what? I'll
No.
say this. I will say this. Okay, I'm not gonna tell my age, but I
Uh-huh.
am a little bit older than you. So for my
Oh.
generation, Brandy was Britney Spears before Britney Spears. Okay, I'm
Well,
just gonna
no, no,
keep
no.
it all the
Let's,
way real with you.
it's
Yes,
a
she
90s.
was.
It's a 90s thing. I can understand that Brandy and who she was, because Brandy had a dial. I get how important that is. You understand what
She
I'm
had a
saying?
doll. She had a TV show. She
She
had
was in
like
Cinderella.
everything.
She was in
Yeah,
Cinderella.
she was that girl
I
in the
get this.
90s.
I hear what you're saying, but see, here's the problem, though.
What's the problem?
She ain't better than Monica, and that's where we're gonna get at with all of
Okay,
this. So
see,
it's not gonna happen.
you
But
know
see,
what?
you have to
I
go.
can't even name too many Monica songs. I mean, I can
You
listen to
can't name them,
Brandy's
but see, you gonna put some
first.
respect on her name. That's what's gonna happen here. You gonna
Listen,
put some
don't get
respect.
me wrong.
All
Don't get
three of
me
y'all. It's
wrong.
only one of you in this video, but all three of y'all gonna respect.
Listen, don't get me wrong. Monica is my, I will give her her roses, her flowers. I will,
She's the
admit she
girl.
is, she is
She the girl
worthy
to
to be
beat.
named. Do you know what I mean? But
She
is
is the girl to
she
beat.
really giving that Brandy type of? No, she's not. Brandy's just
Y'all gonna stop. You know what? I'm
more
I'm gonna keep bringing him up because
established.
he
I'll say
said it.
that.
I'm gonna keep bringing him up because he said it first. Kevin Terrell Jones was complaining about what he wasn't complaining. Let's be fair. I'm gonna keep saying his name. I've been on 2 podcasts. He gonna be like, listen, I didn't say anything that bad. I'm gonna talk about you because the person that commented on your tweet, they made it that bad. So I'm talking about you now. See, because you shouldn't have said it. See, you gave him room to say what
Mm.
he wanted to say, and I'm not here for none of that. Okay, so listen, he was like, Brandy is a worldwide, basically like a global worldwide artist, and Monica is the girl from Atlanta.
I
If you agree with
I
that, I'm kicking you
mean,
out the sphere. I want you to know
the
that.
truth can be harsh
It is this.
sometimes, but it's the truth.
That ain't the
It's the
truth.
truth.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
It is
Monica,
what it is. I have never played with a Monica
listen.
doll, so I don't really know, but she might have one out there. I don't know. I didn't get it. I
My
didn't
sis
get
was
it for
out here.
Christmas.
She was out here singing hits.
But
She was out here
listen, that's
singing hits.
not to
She ain't
disrespect
have time to
Monica.
make no
I just
dog.
think that Brandy has more hits. That's the bottom line of a versus is I'm
Okay,
not
okay, okay. Well,
discrediting Monica at all. I
let
just
the
feel like
chips
Brandy has more to.
let the chips
We shall
fall
see. We shall
where they
see. And
may.
I will be listening tomorrow
Let the
because I am
chips
very
fall where
interested
they
in
may.
what everyone else has to say. So I
Well,
am
what's your number
going to
one
let those
pick
two.
for? What's your number one song for each artist?
For
Hmm.
Brandy, it's gonna have to be. Ooh,
Hmm.
there's so many to choose from. Um, no, I'm gonna have to say
Yeah, okay. It's so many.
no
Yeah,
tea,
okay.
no
All right.
shade, Monica.
All right. It's
But
so
no, I'm going to have to go
Monica got
with
hits.
um,
Monica got
she.
hits.
I'm gonna go
Monica.
with baby. I love baby. That song, baby, baby, baby. You remember that?
No, I'm kidding.
Don't please don't make me sing it. See, that's how you're not even qualified to watch the verses. You don't even know that Brandy song.
I know the
What were you
song. I just stopped
doing?
singing. You told us singing. She's like,
Oh, okay.
baby, baby, baby. No,
Okay, that was. Mm, you know what?
I don't know. I don't know, but you know what? I'm not gonna sing it. You want to know why? Because I'm not
Why?
interested in Brandy's music right now. Right now, I'm Team Monica, and
Okay, so what's your number one Monica song?
mm, I think Angel of Mine.
Okay. No, no, give
No,
me an
why I love you so
underground
much.
Monica song.
Why I love you so much. It's probably one. No, 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 no. I don't know. I can't pick one. My
Okay,
grandmother
you
is
only got
IM me.
about two, so you're gonna have to.
I'm gonna message her when I get through. I'm gonna go Angel of Mine. I'm gonna go Angel of
Okay,
Mine.
okay. You know what?
Now
I love that song too.
I'm gonna go Angel of Mine because it's one of my favorites.
That's
Uh,
a classic. I will give you that. I love that song of Monica's. All I know is at the end of the whole
uh
verses, if they don't end it with "The Boy Is Mine," it was a
That's
waste.
how it either should start or end with "The Boy Is Mine."
I feel
It
like it
should.
should end.
Andrea said Angel in Disguise." Andrea said "Angel in Disguise." Let me get all these
I
up here.
do love that Brandy song. You are very right. I love Angel in Disguise. That's a good one. That's a
Kayla
good
says
one.
she is Team
Shout out to
Monica.
Joe.
Andrea says she is Team Brandy. Listen, I'm
Yes.
I'm I'm over here, Team Monica, but y'all knew that before we even y'all knew that I was gonna go Team Monica. I feel like y'all had the full understanding of my type of shenanigans. And Hennessy just goes
It
with
sounds
Monica.
about right.
Hennessy goes
It
with Monica. It don't go with Brandy.
I'm
You
not
can't
gonna
drink
lie, it
Hennessy.
does.
You
It
can't
does.
drink Hennessy and listen to
Hennessy,
Brandy. It ain't gonna work.
yes. No, it's not. You need a glass of wine with
Well, let's
brandy.
talk about it. Let's talk about it.
You need a
So,
glass of wine and some full moon.
and
Shout out
more
to y'all that know.
glass of wine and full moon.
Yeah, that's a Brandy song.
Full
Full moon.
Moon album, any song. Andrea said Full Moon album, any song. I know the songs ain't that good.
And that's I like her already. Call me
Listen,
girl.
I
See
know
how
I
that
know they
starts
not
out.
that dope like that. She said Full Moon,
Oh,
any song.
you playing my girl Brandy? Brandy is a legend. I'm just gonna put it out there. She's a legend.
She definitely is a legend. I'm going to
She
agree with
is.
you that Brandisha record car.
Mota, come on now.
I'm gonna tell you that Brandisha
Melody.
it's it's me. That's hilarious. But I don't know how to
Nobody knows the first two lyrics of that song either.
I don't know the lyrics to that. I've tried I've tried to learn the lyrics to that song, and obviously it's not something that God would have me to do. But
Catch me at the chorus.
that's okay. Catch me at the part where they count. But you know what?
Yeah.
Somebody who's also speaking of an iconic show, and something iconic, we really have to talk about just recently. Chadwick Boseman recently passed. Black Panther, King of Wakanda.
Yeah.
He's played a number of
In
other roles.
honor
He's
of
coming to
Chadwick and so many fallen angels, I'm wearing my F Cancer shirt today.
yes.
It's
So,
I come with this news with a heavy heart because this is our Black Panther. This is Black Panther himself, and so many of us, even adults, looked up to him in that role. Like he was our kind of like what's the guy that fell off the horse and he broke his back? Superman, the guy that played Superman. Oh no,
mm-mm.
Christopher Reeve.
Oh, okay. I'm
Um,
sorry.
Chadwick was
That's bad.
he
You
was
should have seen our
our
black folks.
Superman.
Oh my goodness. That was
You're
the
only
blankest.
about.
You're breaking up,
You're
friend.
only about. Can you hear me?
You're breaking up. This is what I'm gonna do. Because we're talking about Chadwick Boseman, I want to make it. I bring in. Make sure I bring in our next guest. So give me one. Not our next commentator. It's gonna be Sarita, and we're gonna bring her in so that she can have a discussion with us about Chadwick Boseman, not only about Chadwick Boseman, but collective grievance. So let's talk about that as well. Sarita,
Just wanted to
Hello,
make
how
some
you
points
doing?
and then
how is
Sarita can have
everyone?
the floor.
Ali, you're still here, so don't go anywhere. I want you to stay as a part of the broadcast. If you want to
Okay.
mute yourself, you can do that as well. Sarita, I want to bring you
Will
over
do.
because I want to make you bigger. Yes. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. We want to switch places. Sarita,
Yes, sir.
what's going on? So, got a question. We were talking about Chadwick Boseman,
Yeah.
and hold on 1 second. Oh, boom! Now we're back. Okay, we're talking about Chadwick Boseman, and we wanted to have a conversation about collective grieving. We see watch the world. We see the people with their children, and how they're taking the passing of the Black Panther, right? And also somebody who's a hero to them, and has a couple of questions. How does a parent, or how does someone, because I remember when this happened with Kobe Bryant, and you had people who were grieving and not really having a, how do I want to say it? And you had other people who were like, you never knew this person. Why are you grieving? So some people kind of feel a little different about grieving a person they never knew.
No, of course. I mean, it's one of those things that is someone that, you necessarily don't want to put them up as like an idol or anything like that, but it's someone that you definitely were able to go ahead and look up to. And a lot of times, even in our own community, you don't really have that many people that you're able to look up to that are actually credible. Because, we don't have you looking up for the neighborhood dope dealer. We don't want you neighborhood Goldie. We don't need, those different type of people. So to be able to see positive, to see that, and also even Nipsey as well too. You're kind of sitting there thinking about it, and it's really you really hit the nail on the head, because I was going to actually start up with Kobe, because I think that that's the first thing that really hit in the beginning of 2020 was Kobe's passing.
Absolutely.
And everyone being, really just going through the fact of, even denial, and actually going through the steps of grieving.
Absolutely.
And there's definitely, there's 5 steps of grieving. I'm just going to mention them real quick, and then I'm going to go back. But the 5 steps of grieving, are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
Right.
But there's also a new one now, which is actually a fresh one that they're just bringing into the scene as well, is finding meaning behind that person's passing.
Exactly.
And the other thing you got to think about too when it comes to the grieving is that it's not only just, an actual death of a person.
Right.
You have grieving when it comes to, friendships, relationships, job loss, all those different things like that also come into play as well too. And then even bringing COVID in. So I mean, 2020 has been a monster, but it's only a monster let it be.
And you know what? And we talk about these people, Kobe Bryant, and we talk about Chadwick Boseman, but we really want to also point out that there have been since the last there's like 180,000 people have died from COVID. 180,000. I think because we're hearing these deaths and because they're becoming larger numbers, that we kind of forget that these are actually people that are passing away and are no longer with us due to some would attribute it to the mismanagement of it by our administration. Some would say it's the mismanagement of people's health, and there may be some pre-existing conditions that are underlying there that are caused by that. But there are people that are grieving loved ones as we speak, and so that's very interesting to talk about.
No, absolutely. And when you're saying that as well, it's even just lifestyle overall as well too, to even tie back into that. So there's so many things, and it's like we're all collectively going through it at the same time. And there's so many people that are being affected. And the unfortunate side of it too is that it's even bringing up feelings and it's triggering people as well, that if you haven't even dealt with some of the grief that's happened in your own life, as far as your different family members and things like that, it's all bringing it back up. Because a lot of times you compartmentalize it if you don't want to deal with it. And I think now that this is the time where everyone is really having that opportunity to really just sit back and be like, you know what? I didn't deal with this. I figure out what I'm going to do. And now on top of this, Kobe done died. Nipsey died. These are like even though Nipsey was last year, it's like all this stuff is still, coming back into play and coming together. And then just, even, with our Black Panther, Wakanda forever. Thing. I was out to dinner when it happened, and we all like stopped talking because it popped up on my phone as a notification, and we just stopped talking.
Absolutely.
Like we were like looking for tissue, and everything. Like we were like, what? Like are you?
It's shocking. But if you look at the pictures, you look at the photos that he took earlier, took before, you'll be able to see where he was losing weight. And I think I noticed it, but like I told my mother, I attributed it to the fact that I thought he had just, had lost weight for a role, or that's
Right.
something he was doing. I never knew that it was at the fact that he
Was sick.
was sick. That never occurred to me. I never even considered the fact that he could be sick. That was nothing that kind of stuck to the forefront of my mind. So that was interesting to me to even understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at it now and just looking at how many people that we've lost, it's really interesting to bring Ali back to the conversation. What is it that you have to say about Chadwick Boseman, T'Challa, Black
Well,
Panther?
I just wanted to give some facts first. First of all, he died Friday on the 28th. He was only 43 years old, and it was from stage 4 colon cancer, which he'd been battling for the last 4 years. So,
Mm,
what I just want to say is that, just going back, touching on people saying, we didn't know him personally.
right,
Sometimes you just never know how people connect with the
right,
person through movies and music. People
yeah,
are always, saying, oh, you don't know them, but you don't know what this person represents. I mean,
right.
he was almost looked at like Barack Obama when he won the presidency.
It was very, yeah,
Little children looked up to him. I remember, and I've never been so excited for a movie, and not just me and my friends, and just seeing all the people of pictures of people decked out in their African attire, going to see this movie, being proud to see us on the screen in that type of role.
yes,
It was unheard of, and it didn't just touch the culture and people of color, specifically Black people. It touched
right.
everyone. I
Right.
mean, the
World.
tweet that announced his passing has surpassed 6 million likes, which made it the most liked tweet ever in the history of Twitter. So that just
Wow.
goes to show
Yeah.
you how many people he touched. And we don't know him, but that role
No.
spoke to us on so many levels.
Yeah.
And he's just always going to be remembered for that role and just what he did for the culture for that moment of time. And he has done several other great movies and roles, namely James Brown. He was in that. He did
Mm.
wonderful in that movie as well.
Because he
He was
did
just
James
really good at
Brown. I
his
think he
craft.
played Thurgood Marshall. Didn't he play Thurgood Marshall?
He did play Thurgood Marshall and also Jackie Robinson as well, too, in 42.
Yeah. And so
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
lot. It's a
I
lot
mean,
going that he's done.
he was amazing in his craft. And
Mhm.
I
that
think.
alone, he can deserve all of the sorrow from everyone. But
Mm.
beyond that, just what he represented for the culture, you cannot tell somebody how to grieve. Everybody has the right, and a life is a life. It's sad either way. He
And
couldn't
that's
have
and
did
that's
it
the
as
thing.
Jimmy down the street.
Yeah, but you know what? And I
Yeah.
think
So I mean, we're
that's
definitely gonna miss him. Prayers
yeah,
up to his family too.
Fred definitely.
I
Well,
think they said too that
I'm sorry. What was that?
that
You were
he was
breaking up.
engaged for a moment, but I think him and his wife, they actually got married like right before he
yeah,
passed.
because I believe they did refer to her as his wife. So I believe he is married. So that's good. That's absolutely
Yes.
good. I want to thank
I
the
believe I heard you guys mention his marriage. Yeah, I believe he got
yeah,
married.
yeah, absolutely. So I want to thank the both of you. We just spoke about a couple of deaths that were going on about the the COVID deaths, and one thing that was correlated with those COVID deaths were the Republican National Convention. We have our girl Amber here, so if we can welcome Amber on. Ali, Cerritos, clap it up for Amber real quick. You're gonna brag our Amber. I can't see you on camera, so I want you to add that for me, please. But once she gets that, we'll be right back with you all. Okay.
Hey, Michael, can I?
What's everyone saying about Front Row with Michael J. Curtis?
It's super funny. I love it. It's the only podcast I listen to.
Listen, my whole family loves it, man.
At itsacourtesy.com.
You wanted to say something, Sarita. I was gonna come back with Amber, but I heard you once I left. What's happening?
No, it's okay. I just wanted to mention one last thing. We were kind of talking about the end of the grieving part.
Uh-huh.
So don't forget the kids.
Don't forget the children. And people stop taking pictures of your children and videos of your children and posting them online. That ain't cute. Stop doing that. And because people, I mean, it's their moment. Leave them to their moment to grieve.
All
They're
right.
a hero.
You got to also make sure that you're talking to them because, they're not only just grieving this, they're also grieving the way that their lives have been going through as well, too, from them not being able to go to school or, the possibility of not being able to go back right now and having to do the virtual,
Absolutely.
So there's a lot that's going on. So just make sure that people are really paying attention to their children because it's actually the, hate to bring it up, but the suicide rates are actually going up in the children as well, too.
Wow.
And so definitely make sure that you're having those conversations. I'm a parent myself, and so I'm making sure my youngest is 10, and it's really been hitting her hard because her birthday was right in the beginning of all this occurring.
Wow.
So just make sure that you're, having those conversations. And if you need someone to talk with them, by all means, go ahead and find those resources because they are available. So that way they can be, receiving that help too.
Absolutely. Right here, before I bring on Amber, we were supposed to have Senator Lena Taylor on. As you can see, with everything that's going on, Senator Lena Taylor is being called to other business. She didn't have time today to stop in and interview with us. We made that agreement in our office, made that commitment prior to everything that happened in Kenosha and a number of other things. So because those things are happening, because she's a little busy, she'll be back with us at another time. We'll be sure to try to get her on. But understandably, she has a job. Okay, so we understand. Okay, she has other things that she has to do. She can come play with us and actually have some time to undress a couple of things. Once everything kind of, I don't want to say dies down because I don't want it to die down. I just when she has the time, when she's able to allocate some time to us, then we'll have that happen. But until then, we got another Black Girl Rock. Black girl that rocks. I don't want to call her a rock, right?
Yeah, we don't want to do the plies.
Yeah, we don't want to call her a rock. That's my rock. All right, Miss Serena. I have you back here in a moment. Okay, good. Amber.
Hey, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you just fine. What's going on?
Okay, perfect. No, I'm doing great. Just, listening to the conversation, excited to join in.
Excited to join in. Sunday. First of all, I think the most to unpack here, the person with the most homework today has to be you.
Well,
You know what?
I'm no stranger to homework.
You're no stranger to homework. It's so much going on now. It's so much going on now, and what's confusing is somebody named Mike Sims is coming. I don't even know who that is. And what's confusing? Hey, Mike Sims, how you doing? I don't like your comment, but how you doing? Anyway, so
I can't see it, so
it's something. Not even... Somebody named Mike Sims. I don't know. So what's really going on, and really the concerns about everything, is we've had the DNC convention. This has all happened prior to our premiere. The DNC convention. We've had the RNC convention. We've had. I'm gonna take it to Mike Sims. He seems a little butthurt. Mike Sims might be a Republican. We'll see once we.
Let's see what he got. What he saying? What he saying in the comments?
It's like everyone. I guess where he's watching, he only saw one viewer at the time that he tuned in. What he does not know is I made that comment like when I first started the show. Anyway. Shout out to Mike. So you're late, Mike. But the whole thing about what we've had go on in the DNC, and we saw a very different picture, one that was hopeful, one of a kind of a warning to make sure that you go out and vote, one that was about making sure that that you understood the type of president that Donald Trump has been, the kind of president that he is, and that he have another 4 years, the type of president that he will be. In contrast to our presidential nominee for the Democratic Party, Joe Biden. Right? You move fast forward to the RNC, where it's a little bit different. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so for those who tuned in, so I'll be honest, like part of my homework for this was to watch it. So, I had to tune into some clips, but I personally decided not to, traumatize myself more than I am by some of the other things that are going on right now. Yeah. I try to fill my spirit with positive things. But I mean, I think the RNC was just illustration of the contrast between the Democratic and Republican Party, particularly
Right.
over the last 4 years. Because, as much as I identify as a Democrat, and I have, worked for political campaigns throughout the past, all of which have been for Democratic candidates, a lot of it up until this point, there hasn't been such a stark difference between the parties,
Right.
if you will. Like,
Right.
I'm not the person to tell you guys, like, you're choosing between good and evil, right? A lot of
Right.
times we have had to choose between the lesser of two evils in some situations. But I think that, what the Republican Party under the Trump administration has really demonstrated is just this like flagrant disregard for, not only the decorum that I think most political parties and political actors have demonstrated, but
True.
particularly within this pandemic, just a flagrant disregard for humanity. I mean, they, there was just, I think the Democratic Party, at least in Ohio, has described it as just a parade of lies, right? Like,
yes,
it was
and
just
that's
one after another.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people have had that type of reaction to the RNC. It just was a parade of lies, but you have that reaction to Donald Trump, period. And that's to be expected. But when we're looking at this, when we're looking at how Donald Trump has shown up as a president, how he's shown up in this RNC, and then we see things that are happening like in Kenosha with Kyle Rittenhouse, how does that correlate? How is that the same? And how is that connected?
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely believe in drawing connections, right, and seeing how one facilitates the other. I think that the RNC, and kind of just this really show of bravado on the part of Trump and his administration, things of that nature, in light of everything else we have going on. I really think it creates this climate, where folks, do feel emboldened, despite calls for justice, despite calls for, greater safety and health precautions, to just, kind of really dig their heels into whatever, polarizing things that they're supporting. So,
Right.
I mean, when we look at gun rights, right? Like, this guy came out in the middle of a protest wielding this gun, and the argument was that he was, somehow attacked by activist and was defending himself and deciding to shoot at least one just at point blank range.
Well,
But
let's undress that. Let's undress it, because we've had one conversation where you have the Kyle Rittenhouse conversation that's running in Kenosha, and then you have another running conversation, which is the Jacob Blake conversation, Jacob Blake Jr. to be exact. And so when you have Kyle Rittenhouse, who is here, number one, the argument is being made that this was a self-defense shooting. Well, the first person that he shot literally threw a paper bag, or a bag, a balled up bag. I'm not really familiar with whether it was paper or plastic, but either way it goes, it's a bag, and I don't know how threatening a bag is. So you have that one thing. Then you also, so this is a person that he shot dead. Okay, so he shoots this person dead. The onlookers see that he's shot a person. They attempt to apprehend him and stop him. And those are how the second two, there's 3 people in total. Those are how the second 2 were shot. So how are we coming back to say, from a Kenosha authority standpoint, how do we come back to say this person was having self-defense when he's coming from Illinois, invited by the former mayor of Kenosha? The mayor has been arrested on a warrant. The former mayor of Kenosha has been arrested on a warrant due to this, because he is who invited the white militia there. Not the current mayor, but the former mayor. And so when you have these things happening, and then he comes here, he kills a person, how is the mayor not then, the former mayor, not then responsible? And how are we still having a conversation about self-defense?
Right. So typically, so by I suppose trade, I am not a criminal, attorney. So I just want to be clear, right? Like, but I am an attorney. I'm familiar with these ideas. And I know that, there has to be some reasonable fear, right, associated with why you would use deadly force to defend yourself, especially when you're not in your home, right? You have a certain level of privilege when you're in your home. You're defending yourself against somebody who's, threatening you and your humble abode, if you will. But when you're out in public, especially when you've demonstrated some level of aggression, that self-defense goes out the window, right? Because you have to prove that you were in fear for your life, and so you acted reasonably in using whatever type of force that you did. In this situation, You know, I mean, he can argue after the first encounter might have happened, then, you know, and he's being thrown to the ground or what have you, he was in fear for his life. But
Right.
absolutely, a paper bag is not going to rise to the level of, you know, creating that reasonable fear for him. So, you know, for all those involved, you know, it's just like you create the situation in which things become violent and then you blame people, you know, for stepping in to try to defend those who are unarmed in the situation. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. The district attorney is very clear, and it's funny that we saw the authorities there as far as that goes, as far as, you know, the three people being shot. And I've seen, and you know, you see in different groups, the whole Milwaukee, all these other things, where people are saying, oh, well, they were white, but they were there standing with and standing up for Black Lives Matter. I am not going to have an argument with anybody who's saying I used to back Black Lives Matter. I no longer back them anymore because of what they stand for. And if you have a confusion about what Black Lives Matter stand for, you never stood for it. And I always say that to people. It's baffling to me how we can go back to the one Black person does something and then every Black person becomes responsible for it. One person who's a part of, may have said that they are a part of this movement does something, and somehow the entire movement became responsible for Black Lives Matter. But nobody on the conservative side was responsible for the alt-right group that ended up taking the guy who took a car and ran it into a group of peaceful protesters. None of them took responsibility for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the power of stereotypes, right? And our community has always, you know, really borne the brunt of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's, you know, I hate, you know, to kind of, you know, I guess harken back to our earlier conversation, but about even Chadwick Boseman, like, I think, you know, I too felt the grief of losing him because it's so important that we have folks like that who are intentional about creating these positive images of Black people. And, you know, and I think that's a part of also what the Black Lives Matter movement is.
Yeah.
Although I will say, you know, it's intentional about not necessarily saying, you know, because I'm a lawyer, because I'm a doctor, because I'm a superhero on screen, that my life matters more than anybody else's.
Exactly.
You know, we're all in this fight together. And quite frankly, I don't wear my titles on my face. I'm a Black woman.
Yeah, you're a Black woman. Speaking of Black women, our VP candidate for the Democratic National Convention. You like how I segue that? Did you catch that?
It. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. See, like, speaking of Black women, Kamala Harris, Senator Kamala Harris, Attorney General from California as well, used to be former and former prosecutor, is now the vice presidential candidate. She actually is the nominee as of the Democratic Convention, right? And actually did a formal response to the Republican National Convention. She's who was chosen to do that. And there were some conversations about her being chosen as the vice presidential candidate. I did do a video on Facebook where I said that Kamala Harris is not above reproach. She's not above reproach. People are able to question her record and have a conversation about, is it conducive to what we would like to be or where we would like to be in the future as a people? People get to do that, right?
Yeah.
Black people have been marching the streets for some time about criminal justice reform. If her record does not align with what Black people are saying they want, or what the people are saying they want, just in any case, where are you on that? It's a okay question to ask. I don't think that was too much. Now, the significance of her candidacy, I will not argue. That's not something we're going to have an argument about. I'm not going to have a conversation with you about where she was born. That's not going to happen, because I think it's racist. And the only time we have questions about where people were born is where they're not white and they're running for president.
Okay. The man in the White House is a big part of starting those type of birtherism movements. Okay, so
we're not gonna do it no more. We're not gonna do it. I didn't do it the first time. I didn't think it was a big deal because I didn't think people actually took it seriously. But there are people out here who really actually go along with this vein of thinking and vein of thought, and I think it's really stupid.
Yeah. Well, you know, one, I appreciate you and your honesty, you know, and having that dialogue with, you know, on Facebook and, you know, really being sincere about, you know, saying, hey, she's not above reproach. I will say, though, I've had to check some of my privilege, I think, in really celebrating her nomination. I identify with her probably even more than the average, you know, American or Black American. I'm not just a Black woman attorney. I'm a HBCU graduate. I went to Hampton University. I didn't pledge a sorority, but I feel like I pledged my university, you know. And like, you know, Greek organizations have, you know, always been supportive of different endeavors that I've been a part of. So, you know, I really relate to that. And I think relatability is such a big part of politics. You know, I think sometimes our community is, you know, wrongfully accused for being too emotional about politics. I think everybody gets emotional about it. It doesn't matter what background you come from.
Yeah, I think the reason that we're even more emotional is because we are affected, and 9 times out of 10, 100 times more. It seems to be that our communities are affected so much more often than others. And really speaking to this particular issue, or Kamala Harris.
Hold on, let me. I gotta do this while we on live. It's Kamala.
Kamala.
Like the
Kamala. That's how you say her name, Kamala.
Yes.
I
like
can't
in a
say
sentence,
that.
Kamala.
I like Kamala. I like Kamala.
Kamala. You've been saying Kamala. It's Kamala.
I'm
sorry, but when that Fox News, you know, commentator refused to say it right, I felt that in my Black woman soul. So
let's be clear. Let's be clear. The woman name is a little hard to say.
Kamala is not hard.
Not when Black folks been saying Kamala all this time. She should have corrected us a long time ago.
You just said it right. She been trying. She been trying to get elected. Let's be honest. She not gonna go too hard. You know what it looked like on the ballot. That's most important. But also, we gonna try to.
Black folks been calling her what we want to call her since we heard what she said her name was. Oh yeah, Kamala. Tell her I said hey. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, we just pick a name. We called Barack for a long time. Until he really got the name. It was like Barack. We finally learned it. Obama.
Finally got it. So yeah, maybe we just wait until November.
We gonna wait until November until it really hit. Then everybody gonna be like, come on. I can't do it. Ever. I'm gonna say the vice president. I'm not gonna say her name.
We like that too.
Yeah, the vice president. So here's the thing. I usually segue way better than this. Kyle Rittenhouse is one of the people that has been under national scrutiny or world scrutiny, right? There's also another name, Mr. Jacob Blake.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Had to breathe. One, I just want to send my condolences to his family.
He's still
with us. He's not dead.
No.
But there's something to be said. No, but seriously, there's something to be said for the loss of the mobility of your legs, the loss of a way of life that you may have experienced beforehand.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I think it speaks to that overall collective grief. And his sister, I don't know if you've seen the video of her kind of speaking.
First of all, let's take a moment for his sister. First, I don't know her name. We're going to clap for the sister.
Yeah.
That is the most well-spoken. And it's sad that I have to say this because I hate when people say that Black people are well-spoken because it makes us sound like we're stupid. But it's literally, I'm not even going to lie. When she got up there and she said, listen, I don't want your pity, right? We want change. And that was like, for me, I was like, yes, that's it. That's what we want. His sister has gotten up and represented well. His father has represented well. His mother has represented well. Outside of the fact that she says, you know, no, they all did well. I don't have any complaints about anything that was said. I do have a complaint about one person. James Hall, I believe he's the CEO and president of the Kenosha and Racine. I don't know if it's the National Action Network that is there or a local chapter or something of a sort, but it's some organization. Sir, I need you to do some media training.
Now, come on.
End times. Wait a minute. Let's make sure we understand this.
Okay, what's the question?
End times has said, not usually want to address stuff like this. End times has said, it's sad when a 17-year-old has to defend our freedom against the terrorists.
So they're referring to the protesters who were effectively out there in defense of Jacob Blake's right to live free from gun violence at the hands of police officers.
And it is shocking to me how many people have come out to call these protesters who were protesting peacefully until Mr. Kyle showed up, right? We had a peaceful time, nothing else, you know what I'm saying? Not peacefully, excuse me, because I don't want to say there were things that were cut on fire, but I'm going to say that the protesters that he addressed or he was there kind of assaulting, because let's be very clear, people who he assaulted with a deadly weapon and killed 2 of them and injured another. It is not that he was defending our freedom. And I want to know whose freedom you're talking about.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that, this year in particular with the pandemic, really exposing a lot of the inequality in this country. I think
Yeah,
now, more than ever, it's impossible to deny we're living in, through a tale of two Americas, if you will.
it
Maybe
gets very
more
interesting.
when you break it down by other categories, right?
Right.
We have totally different experiences. We have double standards. Our peaceful protesters are likened to terrorists, even though their domestic terrorists are
Yeah.
considered mentally ill. We see this
Yeah.
time and time again. And I think, thank God for social media
Right.
because, in a meme, Black Twitter will get everybody together and just remind y'all like this exact same situation can happen, but depending on the color of somebody's skin, it will be covered in the media completely
Absolutely.
different. I mean,
Completely
and that's
different.
why, I think the media is being forced to grapple with things. They're forced to say things like structural racism. They're forced to acknowledge, blatant inequality in the way they haven't. So we just have to keep it going,
Yeah, and keep
and
it
not
going.
let up.
Not let up. And speaking of the media in their coverage, what I was able to see recently is ABC's news coverage of the March on Washington 2020. It was very nice to see. We have Milwaukee representation there. Frank Nitti, I believe you said another name, Amber.
Nyla Idari. She is actually one of two founders of Freedom March NYC.
Yes.
And so she's been in DC for some time, went to Columbia for her undergraduate degree. And so she's really on the front lines right now.
Well,
she's from Milwaukee.
Did she have anything to say at the podium? Was she able to get up at the podium at all?
She did. She spoke during the pre-program. So I think there was like some, speakers that went on probably before that 11 a.m. main program started. And so she was there with her co-founder, Chelsea Miller.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing. I know Frank got up there. Frank said a few words. It was very energetic. That's the word I'm going to use, energetic. Here's the thing that was great about that march. Frank made it from Milwaukee to DC. He walked all the way there. There were some issues that he had along the way. I believe his first issue, I don't believe it was Indiana or Ohio. Okay. It was one of those two. And then there was another where one was actually shot. End Time is coming again. One is actually shot. And End Time said, I haven't seen one peaceful protest. All I see is destroying of property, looting, burning, just total destruction. The devil comes to burn, loot, and destroy. Well, End Times, I would say to you, why don't you go out there and why don't you go to one of the protests and you'll be able to see more than what you see on your television screen. And that may be of some assistance to you. So what was I saying after that? There's
just about Frank Nitti's, his journey to Washington.
He made me lose my train of thought, but
we own it.
He or she. So in Pennsylvania, one of the people marching with them, it was reported that he was injured. He was shot in the face. It was ultimately determined that it was more so grazed his face. Right, the bullet grazed his face. Either way, those protesters who were walking peacefully in that street, those marchers, those people walking from Milwaukee to Washington, D.C. for the March on Washington, they were assaulted, right? And they were moving throughout peacefully, even in that case. How do we live in America, number one, who allows things like that to happen, and we still have a person like End Times here who thinks that it's the other way around, that these people that are walking in are causing the trouble, that these people that are protesting or walking are what's happening as far as burning down of buildings and looting and all of that and destroying of property? Why is it that Black Lives Matter as well as these protests have become synonymous with the people that are destroying property, burning buildings? I think it's tied to racism and the fact that one Black person does something, we're all identified as doing it. That's what I call it. What would you call it?
Well, definitely that, right? Again, that stereotyping that continues to burden our community. But then you have to know, like, there is proof that there are agitators that have been planted throughout cities across America,
Absolutely.
to create this, the violence and to really distract from the overall goal of these protests.
Mm-hmm.
But, John Lewis, just passed, right? When we talk about collective, I mean, the list of folks we have lost this year goes on and on. But John Lewis, actually spoke at the initial March on Washington 57 years ago at just 23. And that was after he had, marched from Selma to Montgomery and, and what they call, Bloody Sunday, and, had these violent experiences while he was peacefully protesting because when we start talking about genuine equality for Black people,
Exactly.
and we start, start talking about redistributing wealth, right, and changing whole power structures in this country, there are whole institutions and whole, coalitions of people that want to ensure that doesn't happen, right? And it is racism, but it's it's militarism, it's capitalism, it's all these different isms, that really intersect, that are very, that together, motivate people to do some terrible things. So, I mean, I just think that's what we're seeing. It's a continuation of this historical resistance to our collective progress, our collective awakening and consciousness around these issues. So, unfortunately, if you decide to champion racial justice, like you're signing up for a fight, literal fight. Sometimes.
Yeah, and it's really troubling. Sarita has something to say. Sarita, what was your comment?
Yeah, I was just saying that it's really a lot of propaganda that's being used really to deflect from the real issues that have been going on for so long. And just like, Amber was saying, because of everything that's happening right now, that a lot of people are now able to actually pay attention to the media. We, of course, know as, people of color, we've been seeing this forever.
Yeah.
Since before we were born, we're just watching history continue to repeat itself. And I'm not even going to go back to how everything started, because this is not the conversation for that. But just, say that we are now seeing truly that with social media, with everyone being able to go ahead and truly see that we're showing you recording, like right here, this is what's happening. This is what we've been talking about. And now finally people are like, oh, really? Trying to play that little, like, oh, that's really happening, when you've known very well that these things have been occurring.
Yeah, you know what? And it's really concerning. In times, I know what your goal is here, but that's not the conversation we're having. But what is concerning to me is how easily the media has framed or can frame it. And we're focusing so much on criminal justice reform. I think the media is another part of something that plays a very, very important role. Just like the sheriff, just like the DA, just like police authorities, the media plays a role too in the conviction of these people. The way that we're portrayed, the way that we're seen, just in watching the way that they're covering. I think they brought up a headline: Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend got arrested, and for some reason they tied her name to it, and she wasn't even with the guy. She wasn't with the guy when she passed, and they ain't with the guy now, obviously. Why is it that that's something that's being publicized about her? And, he was arrested on, I believe, something in connection with drugs. So that was the first story that was trying to be put out about her, that they were serving a warrant, no-knock warrant on her apartment, and that was why. So what do we do with that? Oh, that was what I was trying to bring up. I'm sorry, because this guy's comment didn't really throw me off. But that's what we're trying to have a conversation about. God's judgment, Philip.
Well, a lot of times too, you even have to follow where the money trail is, because a lot of times with these media outlets and things like that as well too, they're being paid to say the different things that's being distributed as well too, where they're sitting there saying, oh, well, this happened because of this. And it's like, okay, well, we understand that you don't have to bring up a person's record from 10, 20, years ago after something has occurred now where their life has completely changed.
No.
All those different things like that are continuously happening to try to really just deflect and say, oh, this person isn't a good person. It doesn't make a difference. The police is supposed to protect and serve. Not kill at will. That's not what their job is for. I mean, we know the original reason why the police were around were to help collect slaves, but we're not in that time right now. We're in this is the America that we live in, unfortunately, that things are going this way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely think that, that's super important. Everybody has an agenda, right? Those who are on the right side of things and those who are on the wrong side of things. I will say, I think that those who are on the right side of things, we can be a little bit more aggressive sometimes about our agenda. Yeah. We can ensure that we're not allowing some of these folks to create so much fear, because I think some of us, we have great information and we understand what's going on. Myself, case in point, as an attorney, right? I think that a lot of attorneys are having certain conversations around some of these things that are happening. Whether it's the Breonna Taylor case and the reality of, prosecutorial discretion, that had so much to do with why they even, decided to execute that warrant when they did. Because you can have a no-knock warrant, but typically it's only going to happen if you're trying to go to somebody's house in the middle of the night. They could have done it in the morning. And so whether or not they arrested her, what have you, can imagine things would have happened a lot different. But there was a prosecutor that had to sign off on that.
Right.
So just when we start thinking about the whole like situation, like there's just so much to it, right? And what if her ex-boyfriend was involved in drugs, and that is why they were surveilling her house, right? There's a chance that could have been the case, but same with Jacob Blake's situation. Like the things that we're doing, these are not, crimes or things like that carry a death sentence, right?
Exactly.
So why are we facing the death penalty in every little thing that we do as a community? Like that's number one,
That's absolutely there. There's a conversation about reparations, and the reason I showed End Times' this comment, I usually ignored the first 4. But the reason I wanted to show this comment is because I do want to have a conversation about reparations, because it's a real conversation that I think a lot of people shrug off. I think the conversation is not really had in a level where our white counterparts can ask questions and say, okay, well, what's going on here? What's the gist of this conversation? And why should I be paying for something that my ancestors did? I mean, you're free. You're not a slave anymore. Jim Crow's over. What's the problem?
You want me to say 13th Amendment real quick?
Oh, go ahead. I brought you out here to educate.
I mean, I don't want to monopolize the conversation. I definitely want folks to weigh in, but I will say that this is a big part of, why in law school, I focused a lot on human rights law, because I learned early on the civil rights legal framework in this country is not meant to create the level of justice that I think Black people in America truly deserve.
Absolutely.
A lot of times it forces us to go to the same courts that have decided that we weren't full citizens, right? So when you think about like human rights, right, in South Africa, at the end of apartheid, they had what was called a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And they had folks that were perpetrators of apartheid and victims of apartheid come to the table, say what happened, right? And there was some, what do you call it, amnesty granted that, is debatable whether or not it should have ever happened. A lot of people didn't go to jail that probably should have, but at least they had in public record what happened during apartheid.
Right.
And then there was the side of redistributing some of that wealth. Again, there's still work to be done there, but that's how you do reparations, right? That's how the international community handles, apartheid and Jim Crow segregation. But in America, we've only given, we have piecemeal legislation that we see. Voting Rights Act, we're talking about an election. The Voting Rights Act was a part of that, an effort to grant some level of reparations to Black people who have been denied the right to vote.
Yeah.
Shelby v. Holder was a court case in 2013 where they gutted the Voting Rights Act. So you have states that can now change their voting rights laws, make it more difficult for Black people to access the ballot again, because we've not had that truth and reconciliation. We've not changed our constitution. We have just, things that are easily,
And we can't say that's just a Republican thing, because that happened during the mayoral race between Mayor Tom Barrett and State Senator Lena Taylor. So we can't just attribute that to the Republicans, because the city of Milwaukee is run by Democrats. What happened there?
In terms of
the fact that there were only 2 polling stations open. They say it's because the volunteers were short. They didn't have as many volunteers that they needed. But every other polling place throughout the state seemed to be pretty okay. Even in their reductions that we did have, we didn't see them reduced to the level that Milwaukee was reduced, which is about 2. I think we had 2 polling places. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not sure that Wisconsin was on that list of states that were originally, forced to run things by the DOJ in terms of, whether or not they changed their laws and, if they had a history of discrimination against Black people, which is why they maybe had a little more freedom even before, Shelby Holder. And now, but I think, you have to ask those questions. Why is it that in Georgia, right? All Fulton County, where Atlanta is, you had all these, long lines, even before the pandemic in 2018. So is it a coincidence? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I do want to let you all know, I don't want to monopolize your time. We have successfully premiered Front Row with Michael J. Curtis. Give us a hand, everybody. Let's go ahead. Clap it up. Clap it up. Clap it up, Amber. Where your hands at? All right, people. We successfully premiered it. I don't want to wrap up here. There were some other ways. We will get... There you go. I'm like, where did you go, Ali? Clap it up. So these are, as you all can see, I'm surrounded by Black women of color. Ali is something else. I'm Ecuadorian.
No, I'm Black and Salvadoran. So my dad's from El
Salvadoria?
Salvador, but still,
El Salvador.
it's Black
I was
Lives
close.
Matter.
I was close. She said no, like I was
You
completely
said
off. Like,
Ecuador. It's a different country.
it is a different country, but I got the end part right. I think I got the end part.
You know what?
The EN.
You know what?
The EN part. Everybody want to be exotic. Everybody just want to be
I'm a
exotic.
minority, so at the end of the day,
We're in this together.
I was gonna say, like my whole entire life, I had to go through all that because with me,
Yes.
West Indian descent as well too. Because my mom was from Barbados, my dad's from Dominica. Same thing. I'm still Black, just like the Jay-Z song. I'm still, you know what? But at the end of the day, that's how they're gonna look at me as.
Oh, I think my title attracted to Republic. Yeah. So it's really a thing of really making sure that we stay on top of this. We will see all of you next week. This was an awesome show. Thank you guys for being here. I want to thank Amber. I want to thank Ali. I want to thank Sarita. We shall see you next week. We'll have a whole nother set of topics, a whole nother set of information, a whole lot of set of fun. Bye-bye. Wave, folks.
The pageant wave.
The pageant wave. The pageant
I always
wave.
say peace. When I leave, I always say peace.
Peace, peace.
What's everyone saying about Front Row with Michael J. Curtis?
It's super funny. I love it. It's the only podcast I listen to.
Listen, my whole family loves it, man.
At itsacourtesy.com.